Biden and Kamala Harris have vowed to take away your Second Amendment rights through gun bans, gun confiscation, and government regulations. Now, Joe Biden is no longer hiding his real intentions, and we need you to take action now.
Whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle, it is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things. But
the Biden administration is coming after your right to own any gun, and we need you to text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221. Joe Biden has already issued executive orders. He is now demanding Congress push through radical gun legislation. You can fight back to stop Joe Biden's gun grab, but you must text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221. Take action to protect your right to keep and bear arms. We urgently need millions of Americans to text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221. Text PROTECT2A to 888-762-0221.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the Daily Bullet. My name is Paul Layton, Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment. Joining me today from the Buckeye State of Ohio, Amanda Suffecool, host of Untitled Radio, along with Rob Dude, her brother. Amanda, thanks for joining us again today.
Hey, there's something going on with your audio.
Something going on with my audio?
Yep.
I can fix that because every once in a while, if I just do that, my audio comes back.
Yeah, there you go. It's way better when you push the button.
Well, I had pushed the button, but every once in a while I have to drop the gain and bring the gain back up. And all of a sudden, everything is golden again.
Everything's golden. Yeah, you were really little. You were like mouse-like.
I had just a tiny little voice.
And you do not have a tiny little voice. So.
All right. Well, now that we've got good audio, again, my name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me from the Buckeye State of Ohio, Amanda Suffecool, who, along with her brother, Rob, hosts Eye on the Target Radio. Amanda, I want to get right into Ohio stuff, and our lead story is anti-gun groups, or as I like to call them, anti-rights groups, which is really what they are. They don't want you to have any rights. It doesn't just end with Second Amendment rights. They really don't want you to have any First Amendment rights or Fourth Amendment rights or Fifth Amendment rights either. But there are anti-rights groups pressuring Governor DeWine to veto permitless carry in Ohio.
Yeah, there are. So the interesting part is that the county that they are originating from, because one of them is a sheriff, is down in the area near Dayton, where they had that mass shooting that was at an employer, at a mall, at a something. So it wasn't a school, but it was in the public. And because of that, there's a whole lot of anti-gun sentiment going on down there. The interesting part is that Governor DeWine had, at that point, when that happened, had committed that he would invoke some stringent anti-gun or gun restriction rules. And he was working with a gal named Nan Whaley. Well, now Nan Whaley is no longer on the governor's friend team because she's running against him for governor. So there's a lot of moving pieces to what's happening in Ohio right now. A lot of moving pieces.
The plot thickens.
Oh, you bet. Yeah. So it's the anti-gun agenda against the pro-gun agenda, or the Democrat platform against the Republican platform. It's all in play there. But he has until March 15th. So that's coming up. So it's next Tuesday, right? So he's got until next Tuesday to either sign it, ignore it and let it time out, or veto it. And so the word on the street, on the political street, is that he will sign it, and that it is close enough to the primary to be able to, for him to be able to use that to show the sportsmen and women that he is pro-gun, and there's that. So when you add that to the fact that the NRA is going to give him an A+ rating because of the things that he's kind of been pushed into voting on, it all fits.
So
now,
if
part is Ohio going to be state number 22, or is Indiana going to rush past us and we're going to have to be 23? I don't know.
Well, and that was our next story, is that Indiana's Governor Holcomb does not want to have anything to do with permitless or constitutional carry. Made it very clear to his buddies in the Senate, do not send me this. I'm going to run for U.S. Senate. I don't want to have to deal with it on that run. And
right, but his wife is very pro-gun.
Mm-hmm.
So she has made a platform of being his wife and pro-gun. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and the Senate finally has heard enough from the people saying, we want this. And so they went ahead, and we like our job. We like being state senators. We like being state representatives. You're going to have to deal with this. And they went and they sent it to him last night. It finally went through, and it's official. It's going to Holcomb's desk. It's in Holcomb's hands now. If he wants a Senate seat, he's going to have to sign it.
You bet. Yeah.
Lee, let me get over here. We're getting comments about this already. Lee wants to know, if they get constitutional carry, how many states will that be? If both Ohio and Indiana get it, they're going to be 22 and 23. Which is 22, which is 23, that's kind of up in the air.
Jockeying for position.
Yep. Yeah. And Alabama could get into this mix somewhere.
Alabama, Florida, and there's one more.
Georgia.
So it could be 26 before we're all done here. So I think the cool one is going to be whoever's number 25, the tipping point.
For numerically in the states, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be very cool. What I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping, this is maybe overly optimistic on my part. I'm hoping Florida gets their thumb out of somewhere anatomically uncomfortable. And okay. And gets it done, because Florida would put us very close to 50% of the population of the nation being in constitutional carry.
So we're already 50% in geography, right?
Yes.
So we've got three different ways: geography, number of states, and then population.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
When we're at 50% of the population, that is the tipping point I am looking forward to.
Right. I think it's going to be, I think it's coming.
And Florida, I haven't got the math totally done, but I think Florida will be the one that gets us there. So, yeah, I'm boy, that'll be the exciting one for me.
As they used to say, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly. We talked about that last Thursday. Next story I want to talk about, Lauren Bobert is making news, and she made a big splash when she first came into office a couple of years ago, because she is an open carrier. She wants to carry her gun inside the halls of Congress, which of course caused Nancy Pelosi to have a cow. And now she comes out today and says she wants the ATF to delete all their records of firearm purchases, like Hillary deleted her emails. Was her quote, and of course, I kind of want to do better than that. I want the ATF to delete all the firearm purchase records, like Hillary deleted Vince Foster, is how I want them deleted.
So the interesting part is that there's a bill that's out that says that the gun shops don't have to send it to the ATF. They can delete them when their time limit is up. They can just not send them in. So that, because it's really crazy, because I believe that if somebody in the halls of Congress had a spine, the ATF has broken the law. And if they hold them accountable for those things, that would be the first bit. But if they pass another law that says that every gun shop owner is allowed to delete them and not send them in, that would be amazing. And I believe that a lot of gun shops would then go away from the electronic records that they're currently keeping, because those automatically go in. And even though they say they don't, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. Since you have to fill out all the information for the ATF to tell you yes or no, tell me that since they already have it, that they're going to, and since they already have this other billion records, that they're going to just delete this one because it's just not right to keep it.
Right. Well, and with the NICS system, and let's face it, when I go to a gun shop and I fill out the 4473, well, and I want that gun today. Okay, it's a NICS, the National Instant Background Check system. It all gets entered into a computer. The FBI ATF gets my information. They're supposed to get rid of it that day. That's what the law says.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they don't get, the interesting part is that when on a call-in one, they don't get what type of gun or the serial number. That's not part of the records in the call-in. They only get, is it a long gun or is it a handgun or is it another? You know, one of those. So the fact that they switched to this electronic record means that they kind of get it all because it's all part of that electronic record. So they get more of it. So when we had a gun shop, we refused to go electronic simply for that reason, that I didn't want them to ever have access to those serial numbers.
Okay. All right. Well, what I'm ultimately hoping is that one way, and it's not going to happen in the next 3 years.
Right.
But I'm hoping the ATF just goes away. It's been far too politicized for far too long, and there's too many anti-rights people entrenched in there for it to ever be cleansed. It's just got to go. Let's face it, everything that happens inside the ATF can be done by other agencies.
Right. It's a cesspool.
It is. It really is. Let's get a couple more comments in here. Lee says, in the SCOTUS case, on Kerry, any news, status? And not really, Lee. And there really won't be until they make their decision. And that decision, we're expecting sometime between April and June, and probably closer to June.
Right. Just think of it this way, Lee. We're standing outside the Vatican waiting to see if we get white smoke or black smoke. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good analogy. That we'll know when we know, and traditionally it happens in late May to early June.
Yep.
Diane wants to know, Amanda, wasn't there a couple of amendments in the constitutional carry bill? I know there were in the Indiana one.
Yeah, there was an attempt, and then there was, so I have to say that I've not slowed down long enough to actually read what finally went into it. But there was an attempt to put in a couple, frankly, red flag issues with it, and those all got booted. And so, so I can't tell you, Diane. I'm sorry. I'm ashamed of myself. I'm not worthy.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, this one is really no news is good news. I caught this one off the NRA ILA's website. Oregon finished up this past Friday. They finished up their legislative session, and guess what? Nothing happened, and that's good news because it means no new gun laws out of Oregon. That means no bad gun laws, which is really all we were probably going to get, came out of Oregon this year.
Well, it's really interesting when sometimes the whole function of the legislature is to put the brakes on and just to keep from doing more damage than they'd already done prior, because there's not a lot of hope that they're going to fix it in any time soon. And some of the stuff that they had pending was kind of ugly, and so it really is good that they elected to not do it, and for them to all just go home and say, okay, we're done, and they're all dead, and then they have to start all over again with these anti-gun bills when they open the next legislative session.
Yeah. Referring to the white or black smoke, Michael says the smoke will go somewhere else.
Yeah. Yep. We're back to your ear, Michael. Your ear. That's that's all we're saying.
Last story, and we'll probably end up filling quite a bit towards the end of the show here, but the last story I want to talk about today, this is another good reason for the ATF to go away. And our good friend Tom Knighton wrote this one for Bearing Arms. And there is, and I'm going to have to pull this one up because I'm forgetting, whoops, that's not the right story. This, I want to say, it was on the East Coast somewhere.
What was the gist? Maybe I know it.
Rhode Island. Okay.
Oh, that's the one where the dude has just been, he's arrested for something. He has 200 guns, so they don't want to let him go home because he's got guns.
He's got 200 guns.
So he's got 200 guns. So that makes him a super user. But yeah, so they said, though the articles that I've read do not give it any detail, that they also found drugs in the house of some semblance and some sort. They didn't say why they made the visit to the house in the first place. They said that because they found drugs in the house, he became a prohibited person, but it wasn't that he was a prohibited person prior to them finding guns in the house. But remember, we are the United States, where we're innocent until proven guilty. So if they found something in the house, it's not like they found drugs in his pants. Hey, dude, those aren't my drugs in my pants. If they're in the home, who else is in the home? What did they find?
Maybe Hunter Biden was a house guest.
There's so many questions, right? There's so many questions about that, in my opinion. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, that this is another reason why the ATF needs to go away, because I could honestly see if I had a lot of unpaid parking tickets. I don't, but let's just say for some reason I had forgotten to pay a bunch of parking tickets, and I end up in the Who's Cow overnight, and all of a sudden it's discovered that I got quite the collection, including, that Lathrop, he's got some weapons that could be considered sniper rifles. He's got some of these, super concealable handguns. We better keep him.
We better, because do you know that one of the things in that article said that the dude had a flamethrower? See, he's got a flamethrower and I don't. That's the crime against humanity.
And one of my, and I've been on a kick on social media lately. I've got a lot of heroes. And one of them is Elon Musk. One of his companies is the Boring Company, and because they bore tunnels, but is how they got the name. But they sell flamethrowers through the Boring Company, and they aren't that much more expensive than a good quality rifle.
There you go. I'm telling you. At some point, I'm just going to have to pony up, but I'm afraid that then everything, if you only have a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. I'm afraid that if you only have a flamethrower, then everything looks flammable. So,
well, if you've got a really bad house, that it may be better to start from scratch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, there is that. If anybody follows my Facebook page, you'll know what he's referring to. We name them. They're pretty scary. A couple of them are pretty scary. So, what are they going to do with this dude, though? Because he's innocent until proven guilty. The only thing that is not, and they didn't accuse him of anything that is a felony. That there's that misdemeanor that's a felony thing where if you beat up the postman, the policeman, your mom, that kind of thing, it flips to immediately you can't have a gun. But the rest of them go clear through the court before you get to that spot. So how can they even justify, hey, dude, you don't get to go home because you've got guns at the house, and and we're going to just deem you guilty?
Well, and these gun, it does not, it's not mentioned how he got, I mean, I would assume through the story, and Tom Knighton assumes in his story that all these guns were acquired legally. There are drugs in the charges, but, and I want to tie this straight back to Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden filed a 4473, said he did not use drugs, despite all the pictures we've seen of
the videos, right,
of the interesting pipe that he's smoking.
And so, the ATF has declined to prosecute.
Yes.
That's the other part that is decidedly interesting to that.
So,
and he didn't handle his gun safely because it ended up in the trash can at the Stop and Shop and Save and whatever store there.
Right. Yeah. So the guy in this case has 200 legally acquired firearms, and that is the only reason the prosecutor the police found them when they arrested him. Supposedly, the police, when they arrested him, took possession of the 200 legally acquired firearms. Why the heck can't they let them go if they got possession of the firearms?
Let's go down that path. Have you had any extensive conversation with someone who the police took their entire collection?
No, I have not.
Okay, I have. So when the police take a singular gun, that singular gun ends up in the evidence room, in a box, in a whatever, and they don't do anything horribly bad to it.
Other than letting it rust.
In the condition it goes in is the condition it sits in. So I had a friend who used his pistol not to shoot somebody, but to hold it by the barrel and whack somebody over the head a couple times because that guy was trying to hit him with the claw end of a hammer.
Aye.
So the police arrested the hammer guy, not the gun guy. Asked the gun guy why he didn't shoot the hammer guy, and he's like, well, I thought I had a couple options left still. And obviously I did because you got here and saved my bacon before that guy killed me. So I did. But they took his gun and they put it in evidence while they prosecuted the hammer guy. When he got his gun back, the acid in the blood that was from whacking the dude in the head ate the finish clear off of his gun. So they're not going to do anything. It stays in the condition it is. So if it's got greasy fingerprints or it's got, acidy fingerprints, any of that, that's how that'll be. Now, if they take your collection, on the other hand, you move your guns in bulk, in gun cases, gun rugs, all separated, right? Nope, they pick them up and throw them like cordwood in the back of a cruiser, haul them to wherever, and then they get dumped like cordwood, wherever that is. We had a customer that came to the gun shop that was fighting to get possession back of about 25 rifles. And by the time he'd gotten them, they had ridden to where screws and trigger guards and things had gouged one into another. They were horrific in their condition. And that's one of the things about if the police come to a collector's house. Because if you've got guns, most of the guns that I carry have carry marks on them. It's a tool. It's like I've got a dent, I've got a scratch, I've got a whatever, just like I would my hammer and my chainsaw. Now, my collector's guns, on the other hand, I treat them like I treat my sports car. You wash it, you wax it, you shine it up, and you stand back and admire it from afar. They could and would take thousands of dollars in condition off of those type guns just in holding them as they held them in the condition that they hold them, because they treat them all like they're tools and you like you're a felon.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael says, can you imagine logging all those guns? Writers, can you say writer's cramp?
Oh, I have a story for that.
Go for it.
I do have a story. We had, like I said, we had the gun shop, and we had a frequent customer who had MS, and his caretaker passed away. And so there was nobody else in his family that was willing to live with him, help him, whatever. So they ended up, he went into some kind of a home. And when he went into the home, he couldn't have any of his guns. So he called us and said, I want to put them all on consignment and, liquidate them, turn them into cash, and I'll take the cash and I'll come out, rent guns or whatever. And, we agreed to hold some for him. So when he could come out, they were there for him for his lifetime. The interesting part was when we got there, he said he had about 40. So Rob and his wife both go to start logging them in. They take the little book, they start to log them in, and Rob calls me and he's like, you got a car? Get over here. I need you. Well, I don't remember how many pistols we took out of the house, but we took 127 long guns. So of an evening. So this guy thought he had about 40 guns, and there was 127 long guns, plus there was probably more than 40 pistols. But it was pretty amazing. So we were logging and documenting and writing and tracking and moving them. And my husband and I had been out to dinner with another couple, so they had come with us. And they stood in the driveway watching the guns just go out and get loaded into the van. And they were like, I've never seen anything like this. This is like we're in our own movie.
Awesome.
It was fun.
John on the Facebook side says, when I got mine stolen back, when I got my stolen gun back, it had years of fingerprint dust on it. 2 good cleanings with Ballistol, and she was good as new.
That's good, because at least the fingerprint dust did not leave an acidy residue. Car guys, for collectors' cars, don't want you to touch chrome with your fingerprints because there's enough acid in your hands that you'll etch the chrome.
Yep.
So.
Yep. All right, we're getting down towards the bottom of the hour. Amanda, what's coming up this Friday for women and gun rights?
Well, my guest has shifted, and so now I'm working on another guest. And so I believe that I'm having, as a guest, I'm going to have one of the very first female Cerakoders that started and ran her own business early on in the Cerakoting industry. So part of the conversation is about the fact that when she first started, nobody believed that it was her. Right. So it should be pretty interesting. She's obviously got to be there to help some man do it. Right. Sorry, I don't mean to be derogatory, but now and then you kind of run into that. And so it's just interesting to see technical women and the things that they can accomplish.
And just off the cuff and off the wall, Amanda, yeah. You're one of the more accomplished female shooters that I know. When you go into a gun store, do you still get boy, this is what you want, little lady, and they show you a J-frame revolver or something like that?
Yeah, there is some of that. And, and then it just is. And here's my deal is I choose not to take offense. I believe that offense is a choice, and I choose not to. And I assume that they really intend the absolute best. And they just need educated. And so I try to do it with a smile, and I try to help out.
Okay. There are a few that I know that would say, give me a Glock 17 and I'll outshoot you. But
I have to say that one time, Charlie Cook was with us, Rob and I. We were in Chicago, and we went to, HBO was doing a documentary, and we had to go to the Illinois State Rifle and Pistol Association range. And so I had flown to Chicago. I didn't take a gun. They wanted to see me shoot. And so we get over there, and they asked me if I would shoot. And so I was like, I got to borrow a gun. So Richard Pearson said that he would loan me his gun. And then he says, do you know how to shoot it? Yep, I think I'm good. Right. Mm-hmm. But if there's anything unique, I've never shot that model. So if there's anything unique, show me. So he walked me through it. They filmed the whole thing. I pulled his gun up, and and I hit the first 3 were bullseyes. And he stood back and he's like, "We're good."
There you go.
It was pretty funny though.
All right. Well, that does. We're running up on the 30 minutes we're allotted. Everybody, thank you for watching. I want to remind you, come join us 5 p.m. tomorrow, 5 p.m. Friday, and Saturday. We've got. Let me get my Saturday. We've got a great weekly bullet coming up. If I can get my notification to pop for me.
Star-studded lineup of people, right?
Well, the weekly bullet this week is Charlie Cook, Rob Beckman, and Alex Uli are going to be my team for the weekly bullet this Saturday.
Nice.
That's going to be at noon Central Time. And come join us again tomorrow and Friday at 5 p.m. Central Time for the daily bullet. And for those of you catching us on podcast, if you want to, you can come join us live on the Polite Society Podcast Facebook or YouTube channel, 5 p.m. Central Time each day. Everybody, thank you for commenting. Thank you for coming and watching live. And for you podcast listeners, thanks for catching us on podcast. Please remember, everybody, share the show.